Welcome, everybody, to the Gecko Pod. This is episode 35. We are a podcast for the gecko community where we talk about breeding geckos as a hobby and as a business. And we hope to gather new breeders and experienced breeders alike to build out a stronger community, to bring more people into the hobby, to help each other, to see each other grow and get excited for each other's projects and businesses and whatnot. And so thank you guys for joining us. My name is Harry at not AJD Reptiles, Harry at Zero's Geckos, and we have AJ at AJD Reptiles. And today we have our good buddy Chad at Kaimana Geckos. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Need more coffee.
Good. It's morning. Yeah. It is morning. We normally
this is your first morning podcast, right?
Usually it's at... do Donna at AJ.
Huh?
It was morning, right?
Donna's?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was morning. It was pretty early.
Yeah.
It might have been like 10 my time, like 7 your time.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. It was like early. An hour before we started.
Yeah. You're our second.
So Donna still beat you by an hour, but
yeah. Dang it. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure went earlier.
So Chad, for we obviously know you, but for people that don't know you, a quick get to know. Born and raised, where are you located? Yeah, would you? Yeah.
So I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Yeah.
I moved out in 2010, and I lived in Texas for like 6 months or something. Dallas, Texas, and then from there I moved to Missouri for 10 years, and then moved here in 2020.
Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee. Yeah. So I've lived here for 3 years. It's all right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting that you went
from
Hawaii and then you went to 3 different southern places.
Yeah. So
because you like the warm weather? Or
no, I was talking to my friend and I was like, every time I move, I just seem like I'm going east more. And so I don't know, because I have cousins that live in Texas, and I wasn't a big fan. And when one of my good friends that offered me a job at the Dolly Parton Stampede in Missouri, I actually was like, all right, I up and left, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try Missouri, and I stayed there for 10 years at the same place. Worked around horses. I don't know crap about horses. I mean, I still know like the basics or whatever, but like I worked backstage and stuff. But yeah, I did that for 10 years. It was like the best job I've ever had.
By the end, were you a horse whisperer?
I wish. No, I actually want to own a horse at one point in my life. Just kind of
horses. Horses and geckos are a good match.
There's a lot of people that like horses that like geckos.
Yeah,
horse people and geckos just go hand in hand.
Hey, if you ride horses, comment in this video and tell us.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
All the horse guys and horse girls.
Actually, I was talking to Sabrina, mother of geckos.
Yeah,
at
she does horses, right?
Yeah.
And
she's like, I don't know what she said, but she's like, hey, if you worked with horses, you know what this means. And she says this word, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It was like a horse term, and I didn't know what that was. I was like, oh, never said that. Oh, I don't know.
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah, it's interesting. There's that crossover. Yeah. I'm always amazed by the little crossovers there are.
Yeah,
between geckos and other.
Maybe it's like caring for animals. Maybe that's.
I've always loved. Yeah, I think any type of gecko breeder has some sort of like love for animals, right?
Yeah.
You have to, right?
That's not normally the only animal they like.
Yeah, yeah. Because like when I was in kindergarten, first grade, me, my cousins, and my whole family, we all lived in this huge house. It was like a 6-7 bedroom house, and we took care of like kittens from the streets, and we would catch them and feed them milk and stuff like that. But I mean, it goes from there to now.
Dang, street kittens, nice.
Yeah,
the feral cats.
Yeah, feral cats.
No, that's
so Chad, we ask everybody. I need to know, what's the story of Kaimana Geckos? Obviously, we know where you're from, but give us the background of what the
name.
Means.
Of the name.
Yeah.
Okay, so I couldn't think of a name to save my life, right? When I first started, I was like, oh, I didn't want to be like Chad's Geckos. That was the most basic thing, right? And so it's like,
Chad Reptiles, AJD Reptiles.
so I wanted something to like kind of pop out. So at first it was diamond geckos. I was like, oh crap, yeah, diamonds. And I was thinking about like throwing like a bunch of like diamonds in the background. But then now that I know, like down the road, flawless crested geckos did that. So it was a good thing I didn't do that. But and then I changed my name from to Kaimana because Kaimana means diamond in the sea in Hawaiian. And so I had stick to that name, and I was like, oh, since I changed my name to like some sort of Hawaiian theme, maybe I should keep a Hawaiian theme as far as like gecko names and everything, like the prop that I use for pictures and stuff. Yeah, and because like I don't think there was any traditional or like someone that was from Hawaii that was breeding geckos at the time, right? So I thought of names that I've you know learned throughout my living in Hawaii and stuff, and so I'll name like geckos after like Hawaiian treats and just like the
Lau lau.
history. Yeah, lau lau is like a Hawaiian dish made with taro leaves and you know well it's like cooked in the ground and stuff like that too, but or steamed, but we don't do it here. I just use a crock pot and it doesn't taste yeah, it doesn't taste as good.
What's this? Is this a hook or what is your prop right here?
So yeah, this hook was actually bought from a swap meet. I think it was my last visit 2 years ago, and yeah, it was like some Chinese guy that was selling. I mean, like every vendor at the swap meet almost sold the same exact thing. So you could go through every like vendor and you could bargain. Well, this guy was selling this hook for like $80, and I was like, I'm not paying $80. So I walked away, and he was like, come. Like he was trying to like, all right, how about $75? I was like, no, I could get this at NEX for like $30, and it's like okay. And so we start bargaining, and he doesn't know that I used to sell cable for a living back in Missouri, but I was like 25 or I'm out. And then he goes, all right, 25. But I think he got that hook for like, I don't know, way less because he had a bunch of it. But this one was the one that kind of popped out. But I wanted something. I needed something to use, for my background because I didn't want to like put my name in every picture, like what do they call it? Watermark?
Like watermark at all?
Yeah.
Watermarks, yeah.
But you wanted something that would look unique to you where
Like
people
this.
know where that
Right.
image came from.
Yeah, because it was
Like
funny because like
watermark, yeah.
Sam had messaged me and was like, by the way, I love your pictures. It's like so unique. I actually know who you are now. And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. Because like I mean, you could look at every hook picture and be like, oh yeah, that's Chad's animal, And I wanted that. I wanted to create that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's a lesson people can definitely learn is like having some definable attribute of your images that people can see and know it's you without just looking at a watermark is good.
What
Right.
about the same dirty hands? You can know it's my fingernail
Yeah.
when I hold it up, and you can see my.
If you see a Govee
It's-
humidifier in the background of the image, you know it's Harry's.
Yeah.
You could tell by the mold on my hand and my Govee humidifier.
Yeah, I actually like sometimes too, like I'll look like when I do hand pictures, I look at those pictures and I'm like, all right, do I see any blemishes or some sort or like dirt on my hand? I need to make sure that's presentable, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. That's just me. I'm like a really neat.
Everyone's
and
not a hand model
tidy
like
guy.
you, Chad.
I'm not a hand model.
So,
Come
Chad,
on.
are you saying you should like scrub your nails before you?
Should get a pedicure or a manicure before you take your gecko photos.
Yeah.
Cut your nails before you do hand pictures.
Honestly, I love it when girls have like some really nice nails and they post a picture. I'm like, damn girl, like you've got it going on. Do it
I want to
more.
see
you know?
somebody that's got nails like this long, but holding a
Yeah, those
curled
like
nails.
huge, the
They've
curl
got, like-
nails. Yeah.
They're holding the gecko
Oh my-
in the nails. It's
Yeah, they've got like the Edward Scissorhand nails, but they've got a gecko on their hand. That would be
They're
awesome.
like growing their nails out to a curl, and they're using it as a prop, like I do. Oh gosh.
so gross.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been a long time coming having you on. I know that
Yeah.
we've known each other for a while. Would you so what's the background of you meeting me and you meeting Harry? Give us maybe the people a little bit of a history lesson.
So okay, let's start from
Brief.
the beginning. Yeah. Brief.
Give us the TLDR.
I think I met you guys in 2001. No, 2021. Sorry, 2021 at Atlanta.
I saw this picture and, then pulled it up.
And
Yeah.
Me?
oh yeah, the group picture. Yeah.
Oh,
pull
is
up
there
the
an
group
image?
picture. Yeah,
Keep chatting. Yeah.
of all of us. And I went there just to pick up an animal. I think AJ forgot to send, or either that, or like he didn't have time. I don't remember but I was like, all right, I'll just drive there. Like I don't care, I'll drive there. I mean, because I
Yeah.
don't go to shows.
I remember you
as
picked up
much.
an animal.
Yeah, so I went there,
Is it this
and
one?
yeah, that was it. And that was
Nice.
the first time I've met everybody, like all of like you know, Fireside, you know, Sundown,
The gang.
Morph, the gang, yeah.
Yeah.
The Gabby gang is what I call it. But it was a great experience because like you go to a show, you meet someone, you don't know anyone, right? You're just like kind of reserved to yourself, you know. I think the first person that I approached was Kevin Moody, and he was like really friendly, and he was just like, yeah, I'll show you around. I'll introduce you to everybody. I mean, he took me to like Flawless, you know, outside of the group that, you know, you guys, but he showed me around with like Flawless and what was it? Sabrina Buck, and I purchased an animal from her.
Stephanie.
But yeah, Stephanie. What did I say?
Sabrina.
Sabrina.
You got
sorry.
Sabrina
Yeah.
on the mind talking
Yeah.
about horses.
Sabrina, mother of geckos. Buck.
Yes, Stephanie Buck. Sorry.
Stephanie, mother of geckos.
But yeah, like I always tell people some people this, but like Kevin Moody was like the key to the community for me.
He networked
And-
you.
Yeah, he networked me. Like if it wasn't
That's
for
cool.
Kevin, I would have been like still like, oh hey guys, all right, taking the animal, bye. No, I literally like you guys welcomed me like, oh yeah, you guys you can look over here in this this container for all like the holdbacks if you're interested, blah blah blah, whatever. And so
I remember that. That
yeah.
was fun.
And so I sat down and I was like, oh man, I feel kind of out of place, but I feel good about this, you know? Like is this something, you know? And
It's love.
everyone was there except for Gabby. And I remember this because Gabby came around, I think after like looking or browsing around, she comes back and she's like, oh, Chad at Kaimana or something like that. And I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? And she was like, oh, give me a hug. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was like this, it was a good but awkward hug, you know? So I gave her a hug and I was like, oh, yeah, these guys are so cool, you know? And then like I left that place like happy. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, I was certain that this was going to be something later down the road. And look at us now, you know? So, and then Harry, me, you, and Brian, like we chatted before our very first Flora Fauna that we went to, because I went to the one previous, and we chatted through like DMs, and then we were like, oh yeah, Asian gang or whatever, and then you know we met for the first time in that Flora Fauna, and that's when we just kind of kicked it off, you know.
Yeah.
I think
fun.
finding those I
Not
don't want to
Timmy.
say
Timmy.
click, but finding those friends, you know, to kind of like share those experiences with is well, to me it's important because like I love meeting new people because I don't hang out with people. I'm a loser outside of the the hobby. I just stay home, play Overwatch, go to work, take care of my geckos. That's play a little bit of guitar here and there, but
Yeah.
I live a
That's
boring
probably
life,
what a
man.
lot of people do.
Yeah. So
Most people have. If you have a lot of geckos, you probably don't have a lot of other stuff going on.
yeah. So
Or maybe you do, and you're really good at juggling it.
Yeah, maybe this is an obvious question, Chad, but
Mhm.
if you didn't meet all those people, how would it look
for
from then to now in terms of your enjoyment of the hobby?
uh
Yeah, what would that look like for you for
dang.
your development?
I think that I'd still be DMing people about questions,
Mm,
for sure, because that's what I did when I first started too. Like, DM'd Barbara. She was like Barbara, from Creepy Exotics, right?
Yep.
Creepy Exotics, Austral for Michael Schramm, and then there was uh Jessica Seeger from. Well, she doesn't breed anymore, but
mm,
Cajun Exotics. Yeah, those three
Mm.
were like my go-to
yeah,
DMs.
yeah.
Like how to do this, how to do that. But
Mm,
I think that I still would have been doing that, without you guys. Like I feel
yeah,
like I know a lot more. We've, transferred ideas back and forth, and it just makes me feel like I am looking forward to the next event. Like my next event is probably going to
Mm.
be Tinley, right? So I'm like, oh crap! Like yeah, geckos are going to be there, but I'm more excited to meet my friends,
yeah.
Mm.
So um, I think it would have been a really lonely breeding season every year if I didn't meet you guys.
Mm.
And I just because I like to stay to myself most of the time,
Yeah.
but like you guys were like a shell breaker for me,
Mm.
like oh yeah, so
Yeah, yeah. I remember
That's cool.
how you were so welcoming. We were chatting before Tinley, and
mhm.
then you're like, dude, yeah, whatever you need, just let's meet up, let's hang out. I'll take you around. I thought that was so meaningful. Like I'm
Yeah,
just like some random dude, and then you were very like very sweet and just very welcoming. And yeah, we just hung out at Tinley, and that's when we like really connected because yeah, we just it's like an instant family right there. And then
right,
yeah,
Tinley, October 2022 was really cool.
yeah.
yeah,
That was like probably the most gecko people I've ever
Oh,
seen at one event, other than like
hmm,
Flora Fauna,
yeah,
okay.
obviously. But as far
Yeah.
as like a Tinley show, that was an incredible show. And I think this October Tinley is going to be very similar. From
yeah.
How
what
was
I've
it?
seen, the people coming, I think
Yeah.
that will be
How
very
was it the
similar show.
previous years compared to? Was it like a lot, like half of the people, or in terms
I'd say
of the
like a
gecko people?
quarter.
Oh, for geckos.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
the time we went, everybody went. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
It was my first one, so
yeah,
that's all I experienced. So I see.
Yeah, yeah, that was.
don't
I think that I don't know what it was about. Maybe that was just kind of like the first full October post COVID,
Mm.
and everybody came out. But I think that there was also just this excitement in the community, and I think that
Yeah.
that still is the case now, where people now realize that it's it's like a big family, and people want to get together, right?
right,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Awesome, man.
before maybe there was less of that mentality, but I think that that's kind
Mm.
of the way things are moving. I attribute a lot of that to Gabby. I think
yeah.
Yeah.
she's
Oh
good
yeah.
at like creating that vibe, at least with the people in her circle. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
like that big
Yeah.
dinner she put together last year was awesome, and
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. If
so
we have more pockets of that, I think that'd be amazing. And if we can
yeah.
carry that over,
Right.
like in perpetuity with like the podcast and just getting people excited about community, I think it would
Hmm.
Yeah.
be so helpful for everybody, so that they're not
Right.
left behind. So that people don't just
Yeah.
exit the hobby left and right. And
Yeah.
not that people are doing that. There's some of that, but
Right.
Yeah.
that's always happening. But just to get people encouraged, and what you did for me, Chad,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
AJ too. Obviously, you guys have
It's
like
like
welcomed me.
it's
So
like when you first came to Tinley,
yeah,
it kind of reminded me, like you reminded me of myself. And
yeah,
like,
Mm.
kind of lost, like, oh, you didn't know who people were in
yeah,
person. And so what Kevin did for me, I did for you. And I encourage people to
Mm.
do that and bring, the community together, as a whole, and
mm,
just try to to learn from each other, share knowledge. And I think that's where it's at, man. Having all these friends and a huge community to kind of like just, you know, chill with, and not even talk about geckos, but like life, like flora fauna was more personal, like with, me and Susan and me and Kevin too, like just bullshitting, so.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Do you have like any advice on how you would, advise people that are maybe newer and wanting to make those connections, those friendships, how you would recommend people do that? Is there, some, I'm sure everybody approaches, friend making and connection making different, but you're more of an introverted person typically, right?
yeah, I would say. I don't know. It usually starts with a DM though, you have to reach out to someone.
Yeah.
You can't just go in there like blindsided,
Initiate connection.
Yeah, don't be shy, right?
Yeah, or like, like how I started. I was like, "Hey, are you going to the show?" Cool. And be like that customer to be like, "Hey, I'm looking forward to kind of like, meet you, talk to you, take a picture with
see
you,
your animals,
get an autograph or something. I don't know, But
sign my gecko.
Yeah.
You suck up to everybody, bring pictures of them, and get them to autograph them.
Yeah. And I think that would be the first start. Once you do that, go through DMs and stuff and kind of get that out of the way and meet that person. Boom, that could be a start of your clique, that you have or something, I can't think of a different word than clique, but because that clique sounds more of like a
like your people
group, or your gang or something, but
yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, when people, I don't know how it is for you guys, I'm sure people message you guys as well, say, oh, I saw you on the podcast, or I like your animals. And what we were doing for people initially, Chad, now people are kind of messaging us. And I think that's really cool. I love chatting with people. Like anytime people message me, if they're not like snaky, then
right
then I'll engage,
or like
Harry, you don't like people that like snakes, is that what you're trying to say?
People like clearly, they love, no,
or do you remember John from AM Geckos?
Yes.
Yeah.
I met him at Flora Fauna.
Yeah, we DM'd a lot, like prior to Flora Fauna, and you're just, I'll be there. I'll be vending with I'll be helping AJ sell his animals with Harry and Brian, and he came to the booth, and I was like, "Are you John? Are you AM Geckos?" And we first met, and it was great. Like it was a great feeling to actually meet the person in person. Or the breeder in person.
Yeah.
And like Daniel from Cassie's Cresties, he was my very first actual friend in Clarksville.
Oh, wow.
But he had reached out to me and it was like, "Hey, I noticed you're in Clarksville. I'm in Clarksville." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Are you guys the only two breeders in Clarksville?
Well, he moved to Kentucky now, so I don't have a local friend anymore. Yeah.
Now you're a solo.
Clarksville gang broke up.
Yeah, I mean, I have like I don't know, like less than 5 people that will like buy from me, but they're just like, oh, I'm buying for my wife, or oh, I'm not a big breeder, I'm not into it like we are. People. Yeah, just like, oh, I just want one for my son, type of stuff. But Daniel will come by because his parents live here in Clarksville, and will come by and like, "Hey, I'm visiting family. If you want to go grab something to eat." I actually went out to have lunch with him last weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, while he was like chugging like margaritas, like one of those huge ones. I was like, "Damn, man! Like, I didn't know you were that excited to meet me."
5 foot ones you get in Vegas that you're carrying.
Yeah, I was like, "Dang,
that's tall." Yeah.
That's fun, man.
Yeah, that's cool. So when did you, to give people some bearing, when did you start?
So
when did you start collecting geckos?
Yeah.
So I had purchased geckos in 2019, my first 3, and it was from a bearded dragon breeder.
Oh.
And so before my geckos, I had a bearded dragon, And
Were you collecting dragons, or you just
no, I just had
had a
it
pet?
as a pet.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she had sold me these 3 animals, and she's like, "Yeah, it's easy to breed them. You should breed them." And I'm like, "I've never thought about breeding animals, like, you know."
Yeah.
And so she kind of gave me like a rough idea of how to breed them, and I was like, "Oh, okay," not knowing what to do initially, and like with now, like versus now. But there's a few mistakes I had done. I had them in like well, I guess this is not bad, but I had the 40-gallon conversion tanks, like a 40-gallon. It was
Yeah,
huge.
like a 40 breeder, and you had it
Y-
tipped for a 40-gallon.
Yeah, I had it like
Mm.
Wow,
like
that must have
tall
been a big
with
cage.
two
Yeah.
with two geckos. It was
Wow.
male and
Okay.
female. Yeah, and I was like,
That's
holy,
a heavy
yeah.
cage.
So yeah, and then they produced, and then I was like, oh wow, there's like geckos now, like newborn geckos. I'm excited, I was like, is this what I want to do? And I was like, I think the fun part about it is just like what you're producing, like what pops out of the egg. Like I feel like
Mm.
it's more of like a surprise, every time you hatch an egg. And I want to
Yeah,
keep,
seriously.
like, I feel like I want to keep that momentum all the way through. Like, I don't want to breed just to breed. I want to
Yeah.
breed to see what the outcome is, or like what these 2 pairings will make, you know. So, um, but yeah, I started off with 3, and then I learned about Cryptiles, and then a few breeders. AJ, you were one of them too, and I was like, oh, cool. And at the time, I didn't know what type of morphs I wanted. Like I was like, oh, am I a tricolor guy? Am I
Yeah.
a pinstripe kind of guy?
What were
I
the
don't
3 that
know.
you got? What morphs were they?
They were pinstripe. They were
Oh, okay. Okay.
like drippy pinstripe,
Yeah.
and they were originated from LAC
Oh,
herps.
sweet. Yeah.
That's
Kill
3
things.
good geckos to get at the beginning. Get
Yeah.
drippy
No, well,
pinstripes from the beginning.
one of them was a baby, and it had like no lineage or something like that. But
Mm-mm.
Mm.
yeah, I think I started off pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because you obviously have a ton of tries. That's kind of your main focus. Is that from the get go? As you were deciding, you're like, let's do tries, full pin tries.
At the time, no, I
Okay.
was just like buying everything that I thought it was nice.
Okay.
But throughout the whole years, I was just like, I don't know if I want to do a project with them. And I was like, all right, grew them up, sold them. So
Interesting.
yeah, but I mean, to this day, I'm still indecisive. I'm just
You have empty
like,
backs.
yeah. Well, I've always loved empty backs. I just never had.
Knew what it was.
Well,
Or like
I
what?
mean,
How it? Like,
I didn't.
how to make it.
I don't know. I had opportunities to buy empty backs, but I was like, nah. I think I like quad stripes. And I still do. I love quads. Like a really nice quad stripe is.
They look good. Yeah.
Yeah, any type of lines. We'll just buy them all. But we're not talking about the drugs, but so, but yeah, I'm now more of like a good, nice pinstripe. I will look and drool over a really nice pinstripe. So, but anything that has to do with pinstripes or quads or empty backs, man, I'm all about it. Like
Yeah.
even
So
Kevin
you like
yesterday.
stripes. That's your thing.
Yeah.
You like stripes.
Stripy things.
Stripy things.
You like
yeah.
linear. You like lines.
Lines. Yeah, like if you scroll the very top on the left, I think, Harry,
I'll go all the way up.
all the way up the
Okay.
top.
Let's go.
This is
Okay, here we go.
so this one right here that I got from Celestial Exotics.
The first this one.
The very first one. So that one is funny because like Kevin Moody would be like, "Oh yeah, that's a Chad animal." Anything that had like some sort of white pinning like that, it was like, "Oh yeah, that's a Chad animal." And Flora I was looking at the female that Michael Browning had bought, and he had pointed that one out. It was like, oh, that one looks like a Chad animal, and I'm like,
Everyone knows your type.
yeah,
now.
everyone knows my type now. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I could have like some sort of like signature buy now. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Chad animal. You could definitely sell me a Chad animal for sure. So
That's so cool. But I mean, that just shows that like you have a good like eye for what you like, that now even other people know what you like.
yeah. And it took me a while to figure out why everyone was like for me, it was hard for me to determine which animals were good, right? And I feel like that is like the hardest thing as a breeder or as in the start. It was trying to
How did you develop that? And just as for new breeders, like I feel like I'm still trying to learn,
Right.
Develop.
So when so I started around or during the time of COVID, right?
Yeah.
And so when we had that like week or 2 week shutdown, all I was doing was scrolling on Instagram, like figuring out why people were posting this, and everyone's like saying wow. I'm like, why is this a wow animal? Like, why is everybody like posting on it? Like, oh, that's so nice. What do I see in this animal that's nice? You know? And I've noticed that like high white animals are nice. Any type of white contrast. Everybody looks at contrast a lot more too.
Orange
How
and white.
dark, orange, all the
Yeah.
things that pop out. You know, you don't want like an unfired or you know what I mean. Like no one's gonna post an unfired animal and be like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. You know.
Yeah.
All mine are
So-
only half fired when I post.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was just
Contrasty.
numerous days and hours of just scrolling through
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook, and like Break the Bank Geckos was like one of my go-to that I went, and I was like, huh, this is a Break the Bank Gecko. Why? You know, I would always question myself, and then you know when people would pop out animals too, they could do like, oh yeah, this is gonna be nice out the bat, and it came from like it always goes down to like lineage as well. So if someone knows that lineage, like the dad of this baby, of course they're going to say, oh wow, this is a x you know gold member kid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be nice 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
importance of that like that animal that you can tie to it, that people already know what that produces. And
yeah.
And that coupled with just hours of just that basically
Browsing.
we still do that, honestly. Like all of
Yeah.
us still are constantly looking and scrolling through the feed and looking at everyone's animals, and I think that's how you maintain a good eye for what's good, what people like, and what you
Right.
like, right? Eventually you'll be like, nah, that's whack, dude. Like
Right.
and then even
So
though
then-
some people might like it, right?
So then as you're scrolling, Chad, and you're looking through all that stuff and you're taking note of, oh, people like X, Y, and Z, then did you have to kind of narrow it down? It's like, well, people like super dowels, but they have to look this way. People like
Right.
pinstripes, but they have to look this way. And then you picked, oh, I like pinstripes, or I like quads, or whatever, and kind of like ran with that for a while. Or what was that process like?
Yeah, I pretty much did. Like, I don't know. Like, when I developed I guess I won't say I developed the eye for pinstripes, but I do have like a look, right? It has,
Yeah, a look you like.
and a look I like, and it has to be like thick white, you know, like pinstripes and stuff. And I know with Dallas it's a lot harder because like they don't develop to like what 15 grams, so it's hard to determine as a baby. So
Yeah,
with
it takes a little
pinstripes,
more
you
time.
feel like you could actually tell if it's going to be nice. Like the patterns too make a big difference, like on the sides. I feel like, but that also goes with like growing them out too. Like you have to buy babies, man. Like I feel like buying babies, you learn about the progression. Oh, look,
Yeah.
there's like a Dalmatian spot, like from the baby, like as a juvenile, and then
Yeah.
like so for some reason it disappears after 15 grams, like things like that. You know, I mean, it does happen, right? Like a Dalmatian spot
Yeah.
just disappears. But you learn through breeding like and growing them out, you learn so many things. Like I think there's a group called like Progressions or so, Gecko Progressions and stuff, and that was another page that I went through, and it was like, oh, how did this ugly baby turn out to be the like 5K animal? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that are like that too. Like,
Yeah. It's like it's all like development and growth. Like they don't
Oh, yeah.
start off looking like much.
yeah,
That's something that I've talked about this in the past podcast too, about how as new breeders, how can we develop that eye? And obviously it's over time and experience and just practice, but
right.
even for now, like nonstop looking at animals, I still don't know how to pick out exactly what's going to be nice. So I'll hatch out some babies and I'll text you guys and be like, hey, how's this one going to be? Is this one going to be decent? And it's so, or yeah, that one's going to be nice, a little bit nicer. So I think that part is hard for me still. Like, you know, if you look at some of how some of these killer stud breeders have developed, it's crazy how if you look at their baby pictures, it's like, oh, it looks like nothing, right? And then develop.
But a lot of those animals, Harry,
yeah,
a lot of those animals people didn't know. Like
yes.
Even I know that like when I'm at Gabby's house, sometimes we'll look at geckos and be like, oh my gosh, this one's insane as a baby. And then you grow it out and it kind of just never, you're like, oh, it's going to be, or like my house or Gabby's house. Like we'll look at holdbacks and then like 6 months later, I'll be like, oh, show me that one again. And it's like, oh, that one didn't.
It's garbage.
This one that didn't look like anything looks like this. It's like, oh my god.
How much of it is just like, okay, part of it is lineage, but how much of it is just also random luck?
I don't think it's like luck. I don't think it's luck, but I do think that it's probably a little bit of luck as far as how much expression of a trait something inherits.
So a lot of it is just probability in terms of its lineage and where it comes from, like any humans.
Most of this stuff is statistics. I mean,
So I think of it in terms of humans. How you have a supermodel married to like some Tom Brady and Giselle, right? Like, are their kids gonna be hot? Like, it's a good chance, but you could pop out with some less hot.
You can have a kid that looks like Shrek.
I don't know. There's some celebrities that
and they'll still be loved,
like,
of course.
beautiful looking, handsome looking, and then they pop out some ugly ass kid. And it's like, dang,
everybody's beautiful.
That? No, I'm kidding.
Get switched at the hospital.
No, I'm kidding.
We'll go off of height because like if AJ and I had a baby, AJ's like 6.5, 7 feet, and I'm like 5 or 4 feet. Maybe who knows what you can get. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you like after breeding like a first time or two, you could tell whether they're passing the trait strong or not. By developing their bait.
That is true.
Babies. Yeah.
So, and I think the only way you can really tell, and that's why like even with the Frostline stuff last year was, I had to really discipline myself to not sell stuff when it was small so that I actually could see which babies developed into which adults.
Yeah.
Because out of the egg, there's a few different looks, but none of them look like the final product. And then actually documenting like, all right, which ones are the ones that end up looking like this,
Right.
Wow.
And
so
that's good practice for any pair, for anybody, is like the first year. I think normally this has been like best practice is to the first year hold back animals larger than you normally would, right?
15 grams.
And that's what grams. I mean. Even when we talked with Flawless or when we talked with Butler, that was
they go to like 25 grams, right, before they sell.
Yeah, I mean, and that like I don't know if Brian Butler said this on the podcast, but I've heard him say that like that's why he grows animals out, because he wants to know
how they develop.
He wants to make sure that he ends up with the best for himself, right?
Right.
You know, and if he's selling stuff that's too small, the good ones get away, and he's left with maybe not the nicest from the pair. Yeah. And he wants to be continually progressing and making nicer and nicer animals. Yeah. So that is a pro for growing animals out large, is that you're keeping the nicest from the group,
Right. It just means that you have to be extra patient, because then you're like, I have to wait another year for these things to grow out. Like, Chad, has that kind of been your experience with developing? Because you're at a spot right now where I feel like you're producing your own animals, your holdbacks. but it took a while to get there, right?
It
What
took
was
me
that
a while.
experience?
This is my fourth season, right?
Yeah.
So like my first 3 season, like I only had like 3 or 4 pair, maybe 5 max probably, right?
Yeah.
Throughout those 3 years. And but I didn't put a lot of money into it. It was more of like, all right, once I pop these babies, I'm gonna sell them and then reinvest. And that's how
Yeah.
I did it. I didn't just keep throwing money, because I have other stuff to pay for, but um but yeah, now that I'm like in it to kind of like grow, I feel like I've learned a lot of about progression that I could actually pair up animals that I feel that are going to pass on the traits.
Mm.
And now that I have four, like maybe 15 pairs, I think that I could hold back some and then still sell and then reinvest. Because back in the day, I was just selling to reinvest.
Yeah.
I
That
didn't
makes
have any. Well, I didn't have much holdbacks. I
You
think
would
I
sell
only
pretty much everything just to
yeah,
reinvest.
just to
yeah.
reinvest, and that
Um,
it was
yeah.
slow, but I didn't care for like the time, because this is a hobby for me, right? That
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love what I do outside of the hobby, as a welder, and I come back, I come home and I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't want it to be work, all over again, So I want to keep a decent amount of animals to where I could care for them equally, and that's where I'm at right now. Well, actually, this year is my test. I'm gonna breed 14 to 15 maybe, and then
From compared to what in your first couple of seasons? How much did you grow in that
uh
progression?
like last year, I think I had 4. I think I had 5 pairs max.
Oh, okay. So
So
you're,
I
you're tripling.
tripled. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
tripling
Got it.
just to find that balance, right? Because right now I have, like I told AJ this, I was like, man, I have so much time to play Overwatch, but I choose not to. But like if I had enough to where I could take care of my animals and not game, that's where I want to be. Like I want to be like taking care of animals, but enjoying them at the same time.
Yeah.
And then maybe a game or two. But
Yeah.
right now, I mean,
You got
I
some
have
free time.
I have some free time
You
to
know what
kind
that
of
means? You have to add 5 more breeding pairs.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe 10.
So I'm trying to find that balance. I'm trying to find to see what my um I guess you could say my limit is, as
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
taking
Me too.
care of
Yeah,
things.
I think
So
you and I are similar, Chad, when it comes to like the size. I have
yeah.
very similar pairing numbers, and we're about the same number of eggs and
Mhm.
whatnot. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like tracking with you and following and trying to learn from you as well because you're ahead of me several seasons, and I just happen to have the same amount of pairs, and so it's yeah, it's really cool for me to see you develop and work through those things. You know,
Mhm.
um,
You
do you
too. I
feel like
mean,
you're not just the tries, but you have the empty backs now? Like, how many more projects do you feel like you can manage with your size? Because that's something I ask myself too. I talk with AJ about
I
this.
I told myself, man, I was like,
Yeah, I see you
okay, no
buying
more.
Dark
Yeah,
Phantoms,
I was just
What are you
about to
going on
say
here?
that.
exotics.
That was on.
Yeah,
That was
I
a good
was
sale,
like,
right?
yeah, I was like, man,
You have an
I
exantic
told
now,
myself,
right?
yeah, I know, I told
I'm
myself
like,
this
what's a
year.
Chad animal now? I don't know what it is anymore. Throw me off.
I told
It's
myself
like,
this year that I was gonna be like, all right, just pinstripes, man, just pinstripes and quads, and just really nice, whatever I could do with what I have. Don't branch out, Chad. Don't branch out.
you
Next
got
thing you
some
know, I buy a
darks.
freaking
You
dark
got an exantic.
phantom, an exantic. Now I'm like, what am I doing? What
No,
am
that's
I
awesome.
doing?
Yeah,
But I don't know. I feel like different projects too will kind of like um it will keep the ball rolling as far as like the fun, right? Like the
yes.
you want to keep the fun going because like once you get bored with like your projects, you want to find out what what's next for you, right? You don't want to just stay in one spot and be
Yeah.
comfortable. And that's what I've learned too in life. Like I mean, I've freaking lived so many places. I've moved to so many places. Like I feel like comfortability sometimes will is like a double-edged sword. So, and
Yeah.
I try to relate that to my own self as far as breeding. Like,
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I could just stick with pinstripes, and do that the best I can. But like for me, I think like getting to other projects too will keep me alive with you
Yeah,
guys.
I see that with you. I see that with AJ. I mean, AJ seems like super excited these last 2 seasons
Dude,
because
AJ
like
has
all the
got
stuff, right? And
AJ,
so,
man.
so some
That's
people will say like, oh,
a
niche
lot of.
down. They'll niche down and like focus on one thing. But I think side projects are always a really fun thing.
I think you niche down and focus on things when you are newer, right?
Yeah.
When you're still trying to figure out what you're doing, you have limited funds, all that stuff.
Right,
Like
right.
I wouldn't recommend people that are brand new to have like 5 different projects if they have 5 pairs.
What about like one pair of random? Like I have a pair dowels, I have a pair of
That's
guards.
fine, but you got to have like a home base, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
say if Harry, if your collection was like 1 pair of Halloweens, 1 pair of super dowels, 1 pair of quad stripes, 1 pair of like you're not you don't even have enough animals to like save holdbacks from
Yes.
2 different pairs to breed together,
Yeah.
because you're just like so spread out
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I do
That
think
is-
you need to have enough concentration where you can make holdbacks and make like that project, right? And actually kind of like cultivate that project.
Yeah.
But then once you get enough animals in that project, you'd be like, okay, now I want to do this project,
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of like where people that are maybe a little bit further along, and that's kind of where Chad's probably reached right now, where, okay, the pinstripe project, I've got a good amount of animals. Now I'm going to start the dark project, or I'm going to start whatever it is,
Right.
Or Harry, like you're doing the tries and stuff. Well, then you're also like, I want to do tigers. Okay, well now I'm doing this little side thing, right?
Yep.
And you're going to build that up. I think
Yeah.
that's good. I think it's good.
Yeah.
You reach a point where you can make that lateral move and start a new project, and it doesn't impact what you have
Your
going
main
on
project.
over here.
Yeah.
Right,
So you should
right.
always have a main. Is there like a, from you guys, Chad and AJ, is there a percentage? I don't know. I like to think in percentages. A percentage of what you want to focus on. Like, oh, so you have like a 20% side projects, 80% of your main projects. How do you guys figure that out? Or is it just kind of like go with the feel?
Well, me, it's pinstripes, right? So most of my animals are all like lined pinstripes. So like, I don't know, 90%, I would say, because
Okay.
like to me, like you want to find that chat animal. Like, how Kevin was like, oh yeah, that's a chat animal. You want to find a hairy animal, what are you, what does everyone specialize in?
Got it,
Like, I feel like,
Like we think about even like Sabrina or Ludacris, they've got, or a
Black
Maddie,
and white.
they like those black and white,
The black
like
and white,
blondes, right? So you see
Yeah.
those animals, it's like you see one of those come up for sale, it's like one of those 3 is going to buy that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's right.
AJ, for a while too, when I first started too, you were like all like pinstripes too, right? At some,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
your concrete.
Yeah.
right?
Now I see AJ. He's like that, the frost line stuff, and that's what kind of drew me in as well. And then anytime I see something frosty looking, I'll send it to AJ. I'm like, hey, this looks like your animal. He's like, yeah. AJ, mine's better. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
But taking back to what AJ said too about producing the same lines, or not the same lines, but the same morphs or whatever, you want to think ahead too. Like for me, I don't have groups yet. Well, maybe down the road I will, but I want them to have separate pairs so I could breed them together in the future.
Yeah.
So like I have a pinstripe from AJ, I have also a collab with Noah. I want to merge those in the, in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And that's my goal as far as like breeding, as far
So
as
you have like a chat animal. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's,
And
think
it's like
that's a really good,
creating that
takeaway.
within all the stuff you're doing. So like even when
Yeah.
I started doing the super dowels, it wasn't like I'm gonna buy one really nice male and I'm gonna breed 5 females to it, because I'm like I'm not gonna breed all those things together, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if I make holdbacks, I want to be able to actually have outcross opportunities. So the first thing I did, which seemed kind of counterintuitive, is I went out and I bought like 6 males, and I bought the nicest males I could buy. You know, at that time from all different sources. Bought them from Europe, bought them from, Pangea line, bought them from Sam, bought them from Allie, bought them from, like tried to kind of spread out my chips there. And then I was like, okay, now I can get females and build this out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's gonna, like, I'm already looking at all the eggs pouring in, and I'm like, man, I've got so many different
Eggs.
opportunities. Well, I've got so many, eggs. I've got so many different opportunities to kind of like narrow down the look I want, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in a year or two, 3/4 of those animals will be sold, and I'll find my look,
Yeah.
But right now, I'm kind of having to like make all of these to find this little
niche
to find my thing, right?
That's an AJ Dow, or rather than like a Kenny Dow, right?
People looking like
Gecko
that's
Dow,
a Kenny
right?
Dow,
Yeah.
or that's a Crestopia
Sam
Dow.
Dow.
That looks like
Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
That's a really good takeaway, Chad and AJ.
Yeah.
Just about finding your kind of unique animal rather than just mass producing like random, not just reproducing everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And that has to take that's got to take several seasons to figure out, huh?
I think
Yeah,
yes,
maybe
to
not.
kind of put your name on it, I would say.
Yeah.
Put your name on it.
Yeah, I think on the last live I was in, I was like, I think I mentioned like, oh, find your diamond, like kind of like find your name brand. Like you want to brand your name to like what? Super Dells? Like what do you want to be like known for? Like as the Chad animal or the hairy animal.
But you can do multiple things too. Like
Yeah.
name, like say I bring up any name. Like I bring up like fringe morphs. People think about like the pink thing, like their pink line,
pink
this
line,
line, that line. You bring up cryptiles. You think about the tricolors. You think about the crazy lily whites, the the super dowels. You bring up Gabby. You think about tricolors, super dowels. Sables. You think like you can kind of get to the point where when you mention a name, people think about a handful of things, not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do I mean, since there's so many breeders at this point, how do we? I guess this is another topic in terms of like not just developing your own niche, but like getting yourself to be able to, for us even on the podcast, be like, oh, that's X so and so's line, and some random person. I don't know. Maybe it's just part of marketing.
How do you get to the point where it's like developed?
Yeah, and where people can see it and know it, and
I think it's making an animal that is like somewhat unique, and then 2 is just marketing.
Yeah.
Like
making those connections and marketing.
Sure, tricolors exist, but Gabby or I think about Eric Favez, Derby City, people like that, or Creepy Exotics, Barb, or any of these people. They did a good job of tying a certain animal to them, right? Through posting, talking about them, posting in the groups that are dedicated to those animals. Just kind of becoming like a resource for that is
because I knew Barbara as her splash line.
The tricolor line,
like heavy white with the mixture of like, was it orange? Yeah, orange.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's because I think about how a lot of new breeders that watch this, myself included, I'm like, man, I want so many people just to succeed and do well and enjoy what they're doing, and it's like, how can we help them?
It's good for marketing too. I mean, it's like, oh, once that animal is like out there, like as like, for example, like Barbara's line. Oh, everybody wants a splash line now. I mean, I'm sure like she sold off a lot to Korea because they all wanted tigers because they were all obsessed with tigers.
Yeah,
they had that tiger marking and stuff. So, but yeah, find that brand, dude. Find that.
Brand.
Find the brand. Brand yourself.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. So. No, that's really good. Yeah, Chad, do you to kind of see you develop from your giant 40-gallon to tell us a little rundown, because I see this picture, and sometimes we'll see pictures of your place, and your new place is right here, right? Like, how did you get to a point? Because I asked this because I asked you a lot of tips, in terms of like, hey,
Is this
what
the
about
new
even-
room or the old room?
This is
This
the
is
new
the new
room.
room.
Yeah.
Like even last night I was asking you about liquid calcium, right? Because we were talking about that.
Oh
on the
yeah,
live.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, what
So,
flavors, and
yeah,
then
that
so
was
give us a
that.
little bit of your husbandry, your care, kind of your room and your setup.
Okay. Well, the cages are from Leland Senior, from
Yeah.
DW Geckos. I fell in love with those cages because of the, I think they, what do you call it? Like tuxedo color or whatever. I fell in love with
Black and white.
those. Yeah, the black and white color, and I think it looks really cool, like especially with the UVB
Yeah,
and the
that's
lights
cool.
and stuff. So I went with those as far as my taste is in cages. My husbandry, I actually switched to cypress mulch thanks
Yeah.
to AJ and gilpins
Bro,
and
I'm back on paper towel
tiki.
100%. I don't know why you're using cypress.
Oh, maybe I should just do the same thing. I'm just throw everything away.
There's no cypress
Never
mulch in
mind.
Cali.
I don't use cypress.
The trend is gone. The trend is gone. I'm gonna go back to
Now
paper
Chad's gonna
towels.
switch back to paper towels.
Yeah, but actually, it's been doing really well.
Yeah.
Like the misting is awesome. Like I'll mist like like once every 3 days. Yeah, because if it's still moist, why mist more? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
have
have
a
a
plenty of water bowls?
Yeah, and I still
Yeah.
I have geckos that will bury themselves in there. So I'm thinking, oh, they love it. You know, so
Yeah.
it's working really well. The issue that I have is that crickets will hide in them. So
In the mulch.
in the mulch. So sometimes I'll have to kind of just like move the mulch around for them to kind of like hop out of the
Hop out.
hiding spots for
Yeah.
the geckos to kind of chase like later.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I went from Exoterra glass cages to those, and it's been like the best for me. I feel like it's so much easier to clean, you know, because like all of my cleaning was in my bathtub. So imagine me with a 18 by 18 by 24
Glass.
cleaning glass in the tub.
Bro,
You
that's
know,
my
would've dropped
worst
that, man.
nightmare.
yeah. And I was like a clean freak when I first had them. So I was scrubbing. I was using like one of those blades to kind of like
The
scratch
like
off
straight
the
razor blades like scrape
yeah,
the
the razor
glass.
blades to kind of scratch
Scratch
off
the
the
hard water.
watermarks. Oh man,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
horrible. I mean, my cleaning went from like, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours at some point to like now I just wipe stuff down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, to like, I don't know. I spend like maybe a good 2 to 3 hours only because I could, you know. I mean, honestly, I could be like 1 hour and I'm done, but I spend a little more. Just
On cleaning or on like feeding and all that?
just cleaning, you know.
Okay.
Just to be like, I do like once a month I'll do like a full like deep clean, you know.
Okay.
Edges, corners, you know, outside, like dust off the dust and stuff like that. But I'll do every time I see something, I'll just, you know, pick something out or like poop or something like that. But yeah, deep cleaning once a month usually, and then every week I'll be picking like poop off of the substrate and stuff, or changing paper towels on babies and stuff. So
So in those adult cages, do you have UV or is that just LED on them?
yeah, that's UV.
What do you see as pros and cons of it, based on your experience using it?
In my experience, I feel like I know like the females will hide most of the times when they're asleep or when during the day, but those 9 that are on the left are all
Yeah.
UVBs, and the one on the right don't have UVB. And
Okay.
Go down here.
so I have 3 females on the right, and they're all right. Like I mean, they're well, and the ones on the left, I feel like they're a lot more bigger, you know. But I don't know, like, because if they're not like getting the UVB because of the, you know, they're sleeping most of the time. Like, is it the heat? Like sometimes I question myself, you know, is it the heat? that's raising the temps a little, or the UVB that's raising the temps a little bit. That's making them eat a lot more, But I have on the very bottom left of those enclosures, I have a female that's laying her 9 clutch. So you know what I mean, like, UV could be beneficial at some. I don't know.
Are these all this? What size are these, Chad?
Crap. I don't know on the top of my
Are these
head.
18?
Like 18 cubes?
18 cubes ish. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're 15. I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, yeah, dude.
I just know
Enough to fit
it's
3
nice.
wide on a
3.
baker's rack, 48
on a
inches
48.
wide,
Yeah,
divided by 3.
pretty much. Yeah, they're 48 maker's rack, but
Gotcha.
I think they look nice.
Yeah,
I love
they
them.
look good, man.
They look really nice.
I just love the wheels on them too. I think that's the best part of the baker's rack is that I could
Being able to
move.
move them.
Yeah, I
move
could
them.
move it from one side to the other when I'm cleaning
nice.
and vacuuming. And
Do
stuff.
you have a rack on this side, or do you have a rack system besides for your babies, or is it all up here? You have more than this, right?
But yeah, that was I think that's a recent picture actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I popped a little more than that, but that's my baby rack on the top right, and then I have more tubs, like Walmart tubs on the left.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, so the substrate's been good for you, huh? The cypress mulch. Yeah, we've been chatting
Loving
about
it.
that.
Loving it.
I was going to ask you, Chad, something we've been talking about, and Harry and I have been meaning to throw in every episode, just that we can get the
best practices.
Best practices or just opinions of people that breed animals. I guess, what is your feeding schedule for adults and babies, and then for your babies, what are you seeing as far as growth rates, maybe hatchling to a breedable adult animal?
Okay.
In correlation to how you're feeding. I'm just curious.
So I feed my animals every other day with Pangea, this diet, and then I'll do insects like 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh wow! So they're
that's
eating
fine.
every day, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or are you overlapping? Are you feeding bugs on the same day as diet, or are you always off day?
Alternating.
Off day, I'll do insects. Yeah. I've decided. I don't know.
You could probably turn your diet down a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about just doing like the weekends off and just missing.
Yeah.
So like they're hungry on Monday. You know what I'm saying? And because I don't remember where I read this from, but they had said something about like the feeding response on a Monday or whenever they feed again was
First
like
day.
really high. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might take the weekends off for them.
Yeah.
So Monday they're just scrubbing, but I think the hardest thing for me is trying to grow these babies out from hatch to like 15 grams.
How long does that take? How long does it take you? What's
I
the
don't know.
general?
I've got
3 years.
November. I got November.
Still working on the
babies.
first year of productions.
Yeah, I got November babies at like 10 grams. I'm like, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I need to feed like up my intake or up their intake in crickets or what? Oh, crickets were a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So when I went to Brian's house.
Yeah,
And he was like, I was like, yeah, I'll help you with feeding. And he was like, yeah, feed crickets. And then, he had a customer over. He was talking to his customer, and I was just feeding his crickets. He's like, yeah, just throw 5 in each. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm over there just throwing freaking crickets in his enclosures, and I'm like,
done.
Mind blown. Like this whole time I've been doing it wrong.
20 minutes to feed all these animals.
You're feeding one at a time.
Versus like Dubious putting in like little, bowl, no escape bowls. Oh my god.
Yeah. I tried that for a season. Oh, not a season. Maybe like 3 months with the no escape bowls. Dubious. I still casually have some in there, but I'm starting to move away from them as I get crickets, as I hear from you guys, right? And I'm learning more from you guys.
I think what I'm gonna do is do crickets for babies.
Yeah.
And then like when they get to like the sub-adult phase, I'll do like roaches.
Dubious for some growth spurting.
Yeah. So, but that's my schedule.
Dubias work well. They're just hard to feed like efficiently, time-wise.
Yes.
And they're not as widely accepted as crickets. So
Yeah. So for me, I've seen the feeding response of dubia is once they hit like a certain weight, around like 15 grams,
Yeah.
they'll wolf these things down. At least for my collection, and then
Yeah.
even for my kahua, dude, they still love dubias. They're like 40, 50 grams. They'll still eat these dubias. They prefer them over the crickets. At least mine do. I only have like
Yeah.
6. So
Yeah.
but I feed them, and then they're good. I feed them like 2 dubias, and they're good for like good for a couple days, and they're happy and plump, and
Yeah.
so but it's like you said, Chad, the hatchlings and the smaller things, they don't take dubia as well. Yes.
No, because they hide. They
hard.
hide. And with the new substrate now, I'm just like, there's no
yeah,
way.
impossible to.
Yeah,
I would
unless
put
I
them in
have
these
them on
little
paper
dishes.
towel. Yeah.
I put them in these
Yeah.
dishes, and
Oh, do you?
they would pick at them, but then it would knock the bowl over, and they all
They all scatter. Yeah. So,
So it just doesn't matter.
but I
Harry's
mean,
house is infested with roaches.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Chad. So a quick
Oh.
side note. There's like
No
since
way.
I've been breeding crickets, sometimes we'll see dubias outside. Then the kids are like, "No, there's crickets!" And my wife's like, "Dude, there's so many crickets in the freaking house!" I'm upstairs, and they make their way downstairs, like to the bathrooms, like you guys, right?
Uh-huh.
Dude,
it's
they
like
find their
bathroom-
way throughout the entire house.
Dude, it's nuts,
Crickets.
man. Like they're like, "Oh
Bro.
my gosh!" And then my daughter, she had some friends over, sleeping over, and they slept outside right next to this room. And there were crickets. I felt so bad. Like they were freaking out. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
The other day, Harry, I'll tell you a quick side note too. I was like,
Yeah.
with the baby, I was just like, I couldn't sleep one morning. He was really upset. So I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to go in the guest bedroom and, try to get a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And so I go over there. Dude, there's like 4 adult crickets chirping in that room. And I couldn't sleep there either. So, my room upstairs is cricket free. But then I went downstairs near my gecko rooms and went into my guest bedroom, and not good.
It's not
Oh my
possible.
gosh.
It's not possible to like contain them. I feel like,
Yeah.
right?
No.
I don't know.
I mean,
Chad,
I will say
Yeah.
for every 10 crickets that I feed,
Yes,
I probably
yeah.
lose one.
yeah.
Like I'm like
Yeah.
putting them in the bin, one hits the floor and scurries off, and I'm
my
like,
gosh.
it's okay.
Yeah.
So right now under this door, to the gecko room is a blanket to seal the door.
Yeah, you just got a little.
Yeah.
They make these little sticky strips, Harry, that will like
Oh.
block them off.
Okay, that's good. At
Sticky,
Home Depot,
like they
right?
stick to the door, and then they have like
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay, yes, I'm gonna go buy one today.
Yeah.
So,
when I-
Chad, the first
Sorry,
10
Chad.
grams is super slow. I'm interested to see what you think about that once you fed crickets for a while.
Yeah. Because like the first 3 years, I've just been doing dubias. Because
Yeah.
like my thing was like I didn't want any insects to escape, only because I had my collection in my own room in my bed.
Yeah.
So like I would have been so horrified if I saw a cricket and I woke up and I saw a cricket or something biting me or something like that. And that, I don't know, for some reason that's like a fear for me.
Eventually, you just get desensitized to bugs. I've woken
Yeah.
up with crickets in my mouth.
Are you
Is it
serious?
true?
Yeah,
Are you
when I
lying?
used
No
to,
way.
no, I'm not lying. When I used to live that Chad life and have my bedroom be my gecko room, dude, there was one time I was sleeping, I was laying back, and I was like, had my mouth up and just cough up a freaking giant crickets crawled into my mouth.
No.
It's only happened to me once, but
Are you sure your roommate didn't do that to you?
well, I lived at home with my parents,
Oh,
and I was
okay,
sleeping in
okay.
my room with the door closed.
Maybe
so.
Mr. Davidson did that to you. He's like, son, you gotta learn a lesson.
Well, he must have been pretty fast to sneak out before I, saw.
Oh my God.
My cricket story would be when I first got my first 1,000. I think it was like last month, whatever. And I was loading them in my tub, and I think it was like a couple of days later. I'm in the restroom because my restroom is right next to where I keep my crickets underneath the stairwell. And I was, using the restroom, and I see this cricket, and I'm like, in my head, I was like, dang, what? Like now I know I'm a cricket keeper when I see a cricket out there just staring at me while I'm just sitting on the toilet. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna catch you later, bro. Like I'm gonna catch you,
Dude,
dude.
last night I was showering. There were literally 2 crickets in the shower.
It's like, how do
Next
they
to me.
even get? How do they like when you have like a tub? Like, how do they climb it and get in?
It's so crazy, man. They're
So the
everywhere.
craziest thing, I'll show you guys when you come visit, but I have light fixtures that like you can unscrew and pull the dome down to get the bulbs out.
Yep.
In the glass dome, there's probably like 50 dead crickets.
Oh, that's so crazy.
And how do they so they found their way into my walls and then and then they were drawn to the light or the heat and then got in through there and then died in the dome.
Died peacefully.
Yeah,
that's the bad thing about crickets.
Yeah, they're
harmless, but
yeah, they're a little bit annoying.
Pest.
I don't care if they were to escape though, as versus like roaches. Like if I saw a roach, oh gosh, I'd be like.
Well, I feel like dubias are more containable. They don't wander far from the colony. Like this box, they don't wander that far. They escape for sure, but they don't get too far out of this room, and they die. You know, so
they die eventually. Roaches could live forever. I feel like
red runners.
Oh gosh, no, I couldn't do red.
Well, even those dubias, I remember last year I fed off. I was feeding off in those no escape bowls in cages that had like cocoa chunk in it.
Yeah.
And I was feeding off roaches that were like, half-inch roaches, 3/4-inch roaches. And then when I cleaned those things out that had not had an animal in them for 6 months or something, there's like full-size adult roaches, like one. There's like one adult female roach in there. And I'm like, what are you doing in here?
They're very hardy. They are very hardy.
Yeah. They didn't reproduce, but they didn't die. And they grew they grew a little bit, but it's like
I don't know why I started feeding off roaches because like there was a time
crickets are expensive.
When I lived in Hawaii,
grand scheme of things, but
roaches were huge in Hawaii,
Dude.
like everywhere.
Yeah,
and I was taking a shower. And the female ones will fly, and so I was taking a shower one day.
Oh no!
And one flew on my head while I was putting like soap and everything. I freaked out, took the shower curtain with me outside of the bathroom, and my mom yelled at me. And ever since then, I've just had like this thing with roaches.
No. Man, yeah. Another side note: at an Airbnb once, maybe like 3 years ago in Hawaii, we were in North Beach up in Honolulu, and then I had an Airbnb out there. And then Airbnb is beautiful. Like I say, it's one of those like
it was a beachfront.
It wasn't a beachfront, but it was an ADU close to the beach. And then we get there, Laura and I. It's just it's our anniversary or something. And then we're showering, nice bathroom, nice room. And then I see something out of my corner of my eye crawl. I was like, oh. I look behind a couple things. Dude, it was infested with roaches. I was freaking out. I couldn't sleep at all. It was under the bed. It was on the bed, the bedboard. It was everywhere, man. So that's the downside to Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii, it's like so humid.
Or Florida, man.
It's warm and humid, and the roaches love that, man.
That was the main reason why I left Hawaii, was because of roaches, man.
Really? That was the
one of the reasons. But the main reason was because like all of my friends were like, their parents were in the military, and so when their whole family moved, eventually I had like little friends or no friends, and I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to move. So I did. Cost of living there is.
There's not a lot of jobs out in Hawaii, right? But it's beautiful.
I don't know how it is now.
Okay.
I don't know how it is now. I couldn't tell you. But it's growing though. Like there's restaurants back in the day that I still remember that aren't there no more because everyone's just like opening shops and stuff and competing. Like there's some shops there that don't even last a year because one is better or whatever. So yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, Chad, since you're newer, air quotes, newer. I feel like everybody, like I think about you guys as being like new, right?
Yeah, I'm always new, man.
We're totally new.
It's so funny when side note, when I did sales and I would call into hospitals, that's the play. You call in, and if ever somebody's mad at you, you just be like, listen, I'm new. I was new for 6 years. So I call into a hospital and I'm like, hey, can I talk to the nurse manager? And they're like, you can't talk to the nurse manager. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm new. And I've been in this place for 5 years.
New and naive. I don't know what I'm doing.
Playing the new card is the best thing ever.
That's
I'm all about it. So if ever you're like, oh, you do something wrong. Oh, sorry, I've never been here before.
I'm new.
Sorry, officer, I'm new. I'm new to this country.
Sorry, I'm new to this area. I've never driven on streets like this before. It's new to me.
And you speak perfect English.
I'm from the Philippines. I've never been here.
I'm new. I'm sorry. So speaking of like the newer people and also the market, how can we, based on your experience, you kind of came in at the peak of the market, right? Everything was super expensive.
Oh yeah.
With COVID, stuff was just like you could post. You could post a picture out of your like Moto Razor and post on Morph Market and sell, right?
Yeah.
So
you could draw a picture of it.
Yeah, right. Draw a picture like it's got stripes down the back, and the people are like, I'll take it.
$2,000.
But now that we're back to like more of a normal, which is that it actually takes some marketing and we are selling something, so you have to have a little bit. You have that sales background, Chad. So, what do you think now? Advice for new people, how we can be still positive but realistic about kind of where things are compared now versus COVID times where things were just kind of like crazy and not normal.
Yeah. I'm daily looking at through Morph Market. I don't go based off of that, but I go based off of like what I see in like group pages too, what people are posting as prices. And for me, the way I release animals and sell animals is I go based off of the market itself, right? So I don't know. I just feel bad for overpricing something. So like I try to like be reasonable, in a way.
Yeah.
So that's how I do my stuff. Like it's really, I feel like it's really important to be knowledgeable of like how the market is doing too, because for if you're doing it to advance as far as like buying the most craziest things, you want to know if you're getting a good bargain for it, to earn that profit back or to earn that money back at some point down the years. So knowing the market is very important, I feel like. There's some, like I have a friend that I that I talk to here and there, and he'll be like, hey, how much do you think this will be? And I'm like, well, X amount of dollars. And I'll tell him like, yeah, you should try to look at Morph Market just to see like a range of like, cause you'll see a bunch of the same animals or almost of the same animals. And so it gives you like an idea of like, oh, these Harlequins are selling for this amount of money. So maybe I should sell it for the same amount, or if I'm trying to push it out, like get rid of it, then go a little lower,
or just point them to what's my gecko's worth page.
Yeah, or that too,
Number one place.
But
what's my gecko's worth?
Because this is to me, since I've been here for 4 years, I feel like the market has gone really low as far, and it's good. It's a good time to buy if you're, if you're trying to advance for sure.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm like, man, these are really good deals, man. How do I pass them? Why do you think I'm merging into like different, different?
But like I told this to Harry, we were talking about it earlier. I think I'd be more worried if we weren't in a state of the world where markets are down in general, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things other than housing market are on a kind of a slow lull right now. So
even housing market's slowing down. So.
Yeah. But even with that, like you see large corporations, large companies, even having to find enticing ways for you to buy their product, right? Like maybe offering different finance options, offering discounts, doing sales, giving you perks to buy their product or service. And the gecko hobby should be no different. We can't just be expecting that we're impenetrable to the same things that the rest of the world is.
Right.
So you have to learn how to take better photos, do better updates, do good social, provide value to people. All of these different things are going to help, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think you're doing that, Chad. Like I know I've said this to you. I don't know if you believed me, but I think that you're doing a really good job as far as someone at your scale coming across as a business that is very well put together and
Thank you.
is doing things in a way that seems much bigger than you are.
Yeah.
But not in a way where it's deceiving, but in a way where it's like you're taking it very seriously, even though last year you bred 5 pairs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is not a knock on you. It's like a praise on you that you're,
Right.
you know, you're a million times more active on your socials and doing this stuff than I am. And I, you know,
Yeah.
so it's more of a knock on me. But so I take inspiration from the way you do, you know, you're taking your stuff serious and that's cool. That's cool.
Chad,
I'm always trying to find ways to improve, you know, down the line. Like for me, like I just got into Morph Market, you know, just to kind of like give me another branch of like promotions,
a place for sales.
Yeah, another place for sales. Because sometimes, like I'll post a website or something or like a link, and like I feel like sometimes people will look at it, but won't purchase out of it, and they'll just go through DMs anyways. So I feel like, Morph Market is of course like the way to kind of advertise that too, but it doesn't hurt to have 2 forms of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, why not? So let's do Morph Market and both.
Yeah, if you have the capacity to do it, I think that's a really good thing to do.
You just started your Morph Market?
Yeah, I think I just went to like the basic member like last week or something like that.
Okay.
Because like I think you could only have like 1 animal to sell or something like that.
Yeah, this isn't new, but just browsing Morph Market.
But yeah,
Harry, what's your takeaway on what we just kind of were talking about?
In terms of the marketing aspect and
just being realistic, positive, and knowing kind of what to expect and what to how to view kind of
so I port things over from real life in terms of stocks and housing investment. So I live in the Bay Area and it's very tech heavy. A lot of people investing in like random stuff, like, you know, whether it's tech companies, startups. I see the gecko hobby and market similarly in that it has its ups and downs. So sometimes you'll feel bullish on Tesla, sometimes you feel bullish or, you know, whatever. So with that mind frame, I kind of view the market as such. And so even when it dips down, like where it's at right now, I'm not overly discouraged. And I feel like we shouldn't freak out and all of a sudden like dump our entire collection. I mean, there's different ways you can go about it. Some people can do that for different reasons, and that's okay. But I feel like overall, if we just maintain kind of a positive outlook and just continue to do what we do, like what is marketing, you know, like what Chad did.
It's about animals first, right?
Yeah, it's about animals. Yeah, and then he's putting up a website. He's on Morph Market, and he's just operating per, you know, as usual. And you too, AJ. Like I see you, AJ, doing so many things with the, you know, this podcast and your auctions, and you're still doing well with everything you're doing. And I see that, and I'm inspired by that. Yeah. And so I'm inspired by both of you guys as you just continue to post, as you continue to just put things up for sale, even if things don't sell right away. I think just maintaining that aspect of normality really helps people to not freak out. Because if you see 10 people posting like, oh man, I'm selling everything, you know, that's discouraging, right? Yeah. And so unless you want to buy
it does freak people out. Yeah.
Well, when you think about, you remember when like during COVID, how many people thought, oh, I'm going to quit my job and just, you know, trade Bitcoin because this is like so easy, right? You know, I see people, you know, I'm buying Dogecoin, becoming a millionaire in a day, you know, or oh yeah, I'm buying GameStop stock, and you know, this is why would I have a job? I'm a day trader now, you know, and I just don't, you know. And how many of those people that thought that was the way the world worked? How many of those people are still day trading, right?
Yep, exactly.
Or are still, you know, trading crypto? Yeah, not very many comparatively to when things were super hot. And I think that's what you're seeing a little bit now, Harry, when you see people. Not everybody, because there's life circumstances, people make career changes, whatever. But
that's
when you
fine,
see
yeah.
people like dumping collections, it's like, well, why did you do this in the first place, right?
Right, exactly.
Was this
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
about animals and the love and the pursuit of making something special and working with reptiles, or was this just like a pump and dump, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's discouraging. Like when you spend 20K on your collection and now it's worth 8, like it's very discouraging. Like
Right.
I get it,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
like it's no different. Like we put, if we have stocks, you put like 50K into stocks and now it's worth like 25. Like it's really no different. It's like
The difference
we've seen
between
that before.
stocks and geckos, though, is stocks don't make more stocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it dials down to like
You can't print stocks.
like believing
Yeah.
in your product, like as far as like
Yes.
sales terms, right?
Yeah.
So when you start, you want, like, for me, if it took me a while to find out what I was passionate about as far as morphs, right?
Yeah.
And so when you find that passion and you find that love for like pinstripe, for me, it's hard to kind of leave that because you already believe in your product, right? Like
Yep.
for me, it's like like there are times where like yeah, I want more of it. I don't want to downgrade. Why would I want to sell my whole collection? I've
Yeah.
gotten this far and I love what I'm producing or what I buy and what I sell or whatever. You just got to believe in what you have. If you don't have your Chad animal, then what are you doing it for? That's how I
if you don't
too.
have that passion of what you're
Yeah.
shooting for, then maybe you
Right.
shouldn't breed geckos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we are dealing with live animals' lives here. It's not it's not just a money grab, so
Yeah.
we have to focus on that aspect first.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Chad, do you feel
business
like
is important, but
Yeah.
we have to focus on the fact that we're working with animals.
care for the animals? Yeah. Chad, do you feel like this is something that I know you have your own separate job? Do you feel like something you would veer into more full-time ish, or do you just like it as kind of a side hustle?
For now, it's a side. I love what I do, at my job, because I'm more of a hands-on type of guy. And I think
Yeah.
I've told you guys this before, but like if I were to go full time, I think I would find myself building cages or something. Some sort of like building
That'd be
or
cool.
hands-on, and then do geckos at the same time. But for
Mm,
now, I feel like I'm like seeing this as a hobby, right?
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I want to go. I want to build to that point just in case. I want to build to that point, but not enough to where I'm like working 2 jobs. I want
Yeah.
to just work one.
Yeah.
So
You gotta make the jump like AJ. Just go balls to the wall. Go big.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is I feel like you have to be working 2 jobs to drop
Yeah.
the original job to be able to, like,
Yeah.
you can't be like, oh, I'm working 10 hours a week at Geckos, 20 hours a week at Geckos, and I'm working 40 hours a week at my job. Oh, now I can just drop my job and
Yep.
like scale geckos because
Yeah.
you have to have enough
build
geckos to take
Yeah.
40 hours a week.
Yeah, and that goes down
Or
to
for
time
that to
too.
actually have
Like,
enough
'cause-
time for you to.
Right. Like, because
So
like
it is
when
a
I
hard
went
thing.
from 5, like, I don't know, 20 geckos to like now I'm thinking about like, how am I going to take care of this collection efficiently now? Like,
Yeah.
like the whole, like, switching to cypress mulch that helped me, like switching to PVC that helped me. Like, how could I cut my time to where it's not work anymore,
Shoebox lids.
Yeah. I mean, it's still work, but it's not like cleaning exoterras in a bathtub anymore.
The next thing
That's my nightmare.
you'll do, Chad, is you'll get rid of lids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You need some racks, Chad.
I
You
need some racks. Yeah.
PVC racks or
I have lids on
Yum-Herb
all
racks.
of my juveniles, but I have like,
that's a
I don't
huge.
know.
I swear that shaved like an hour off my feed time.
yeah.
When I cut lids, it was like an hour.
Ugh.
Dude, yeah. Once I got these racks, so I have maybe close to 100. Oh, we'll say 80, maybe 80 bins on the rack with no lids. Oh man, it's amazing. Like the feeding is like you spray
You
right
just,
down the
like,
row, and then also you just open it, drop
food
the
out,
food,
food in,
throw
food out, food in.
food. Oh man, it's so fast.
Man.
You need that, Chad.
So
You need a
jealous.
rack, man.
Or you
Yeah.
just
Amazing.
pull it, pull it and
Eventually.
drop crickets in, pull it and drop crickets in, and then it's
Yeah.
just like
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll just shake some crickets.
Yeah,
in.
so that's another
That's
thing that I need to work on. Like I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning to find out what is good for my routine, my rotation.
Yeah.
Because I had a rotation back in the day and it was not working. If you was spending 5 hours on Exoterras, nah, it ain't working. So
Nah, dude. Yeah. That's a waste of time, man.
yeah. So
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chad,
I think.
Oh no,
Yeah,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead, Harry.
No, go.
No, I was just gonna say I think that Chad's kind of right at that like tipping point, right?
yeah. Finding my finding my limit.
I mean, if you
You're
have
like right
15
here,
pairs,
it's about to go.
No, yeah, down as in like, all right, selling my whole collection again. Or not
All
again,
right,
but
guys, selling my collection.
Chad will be
And
gone
then
next
next
week.
week, man, check out these new additions. All right, guys, selling my whole collection. Collection sale next week. Just bought some new animals.
Chad's like, oh, I have some health issues. I'm selling my whole collection. And then
Next
2
week,
weeks later,
just got
he's
5 new sables.
he's rebranded to Diamond Geckos, the U.S. version.
Sable Lord LLC.
Oh no,
Oh man,
it's funny, man.
I don't know, but I love it. I love what I do. Just watching them progress, and then like meeting new people keeps me in the hobby.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
the community.
Yeah. So
without you guys, I think I wouldn't even be on this podcast. Like I'd still be.
Well,
like,
that's true.
You know, yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I would have just been like a basement. What do they call the basement?
Basement
like
dweller
or something, or dweller. That's it. Because
you've been a backyard basement dweller.
Yeah, backyard breeder or something.
No.
But
oh man,
I feel like it's fun. Way more fun now. Like
for sure.
Being part of
I
it.
agree.
Going to shows, big shows. Like I encourage everybody to go for Flora Fauna or Timmy.
The connections are huge, man.
Oh,
man. I wake up every day excited, just to come in here and like chat with you guys too, and chat with whomever. And I think that's very important to keep people excited about the hobby. Yeah, Chad. Long-term goals for you. What does it look like 5 years from now? 10 years? Will we still be keeping geckos in 10 years?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd still be the small scale. I don't think I'm gonna.
Okay.
Well, maybe I will eventually. I don't know. I can't see myself in as far as like business wise in 5 years, but I could see me like pumping out like nice animals at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna look like for me as far as like business growth.
Yeah. Do you aspire to become full-time or no?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like
feeling
yes
it out.
and no. Yeah, feeling it out. I'm just going with the flow right now.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. For in terms of sustaining your business, we talked about this, right? Marketing, community. What are some other things that you feel are important in terms of pillars of business to be successful?
Dang.
Are those mainly it? There's 2 pillars.
Marketing and
marketing,
community.
Yeah, those are the 3 pillars.
Yeah.
What else?
A question as you're thinking. Sorry. Do you still pump new money into this hobby, into your collection, or is it just from sales and recycling through some of your stuff?
Mostly recycling.
Okay.
If there's an animal that I really want, I'll put a couple of $100 down just to throw back in there. But it has to be like a Chad animal for sure.
That's a Chad try right there.
Animal.
I mean, I asked that because I'm very curious how people do it. How many people actually pump new money into basically investments? How many people are investing more money of their own money into it rather than just trading or selling geckos and bringing it in? I'd be so interested to see kind of the data on that if we ever.
Yeah, my first 3 was dumping money. My first 3 years, or I want to say maybe my first 2 years were dumping, like selling, putting back. Now it's kind of casual, like sell a few, save, and then like, oh, that's an animal that I want. Boom. Or like, oh, I want new cages. I'm just gonna use that money to buy more cages or something like that.
Man.
Yeah. So
I can't wait to get to that point where I just have like
I want to get to a point where I'm just like trading instead of buying.
Yeah. AJ status, right?
Yeah. I want people to be like, hey, I want that animal from this pair. Let's trade, or I'll buy off you. I want to get to that point, and I think
that's the best.
Yeah. I want to get to that point as far as like your 5-year question, Mark. I want to get to that point. So that could be a goal for me. Yeah.
That's good.
Where you reach that sustainability standpoint where you can just like, if you want an animal and you can be like, hey, interested in trading? People are like, yeah, I want one of these.
I want that Chad animal.
Yeah. I feel like everybody is willing to trade.
Give me one of those Chatties.
Yeah.
Give me one of those Chadwicks.
This is the chatty baddie line.
This is the chatty daddy line.
Chadwick Boseman, Wakanda forever.
The chatty daddy line.
Chatty daddy.
So I think getting to that point, most of the big breeders are to that point to where they have enough to hold back and trade. And I think this year for me, when I produce these, I have that opportunity to kind of hold back and trade or sell, because, the first 3, it was like just sell, put back, So now that I've got all these pairs, sometimes I'm just like, what am I going to do with all these geckos? Am I going to be stuck? Am I just going to hold them all back? But
anytime you think about that, Chad, just remember me.
I will.
In my basement, and don't worry about it.
And the 18 egg boxes that you have laying around.
AJ, we need to show a picture of you and your cart full of fish tackle boxes of eggs.
Gosh, I saw that and I was like,
I'm so excited though. It's gonna be awesome.
That's great. I just filled one box. I just got to that point, and here you are with like a million boxes.
Just stacked.
That's awesome. That's
eggs on eggs.
I gotta keep the auction people happy. Give them all the new stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you have a lot of good
doing
stuff.
Pretty well. I love it. I think those lives or podcasts and auctions are just so entertaining. I love watching them.
You gotta have fun, man.
Yeah, definitely have fun.
Marketing wise, is that something for you, Chad, that you look forward to? Not just like selling geckos like you've already been doing DM. Are there other avenues where you feel like you can like market and do good at with like what AJ does with the creativity with the auctions or whatnot?
Auctions would be interesting. I think the whole everything is going through like social media now. So you kind of have to just go with I wouldn't say go. Well, I mean, go with the flow, but like kind of like point yourself towards what's happening now and what everyone's looking at. And I feel like YouTube is a big hit, even with streamers too, like Twitch. Twitch people are going through YouTube. YouTube content. Anything to kind of like boost yourself up there. Me, I have no desire of making any type of content. I'm just
podcast. You're on one right now.
Podcast would be it's like the bare minimum of what I do. But as far as making content, not for me. I mean, I'll be featured. I don't mind being featured, but as far as like making my own, no, I'm not.
I think people just have to. That's an interesting concept you just brought up as far as just like the new wave of like we live in an internet age. So I do think people have to like there is people that just want to be road warriors, just want to go to a show every weekend and that's the business they want to run. Like Tristan.
Gecko Junkie.
We're gonna have Tristan on soon. But there's people that do that, like they just go to shows all the time and there's nothing wrong with that. There's other people that want to run their business digitally. Like they want to have that digital footprint and do those things. So
Michael Panone, the Chuo Chamber, he doesn't go to shows. He doesn't vend anything.
But he does well. Yeah.
He does well. He's to himself. Or
look at Robbie. Robbie pretty much just runs everything local. I mean, I think he's been to like one or two little things, but
at some point you need to adapt. though, right? I feel like
Yeah.
adapt to what technology is going through or what everyone's going for as
And
far
be
as like
creative, like
posting. Yeah,
find
be
ways
creative
to
with it.
use
Yes.
find ways to use the platforms. I think Instagram is kind of like relatively still untapped. Like the ways that you could use the app.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Like I found out on Facebook, like I guess it like did some update, and on the bottom where it says home and like settings and all that, there's a dating icon there now. So
On
on
Facebook?
Facebook, you could date
Oh
people.
no.
so
Oh
they've
no.
got like Facebook Tinder
I'm gonna-
now.
I guess, and I'm like, what?
I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah. Well, it was on
Gary's
my
gonna
app, on my
sign up
phone.
right now.
Chad, how come you're on here?
Chad's like,
so-
really? They have
Quite
that?
right.
Wow.
It's like, dang.
Chad's matched with 500 people.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone's being creative with their company. I mean, Facebook with the whole dating site too. I mean, be creative with your
Yeah,
stuff.
gotta be
you know?
creative. Yeah, that is true.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Figure out ways to market.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I'd be doing other than selling. I mean, an auction would be nice too. But personally, I'd find a way to make it different. I don't know, and make
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta, I don't know. I mean, just think about like how you reach people, like a creative way to reach people, right?
Yeah.
So-
Or you could do like a lemonade stand, but geckos.
Dude,
Yeah, just
I
set
mean,
up outside your local
That's-
grocery store.
No, that's legit.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about that. I'm like, oh, gather like maybe like 4 or 5 local breeders, and then
Pop-ups?
Yeah, yeah,
And
like
go
a
to,
tiny
like,
pop
a-
up. There's always people in your area
Yeah.
that likes reptiles, and then sell like pet quality ones. Like even if they're not big, people don't really know about it.
Yeah.
$100
run,
here and
like,
there.
run ads
Put them
on
in
it
like
and stuff.
a cage and sell it for $100 for them. Dude, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, Chad, we ask everybody, what would you say your advice for new breeders is? I know we've kind of laced a lot of it through this, but if you were going to pick one thing, what would it be?
I would say just take the time to learn and gather all this information from other breeders and make it your own. The one thing when I started was that everyone was just like on group pages like, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how you're supposed to do it. Well, take those notes and make it your own, dude. Like, cause I felt like I struggled with what was right and what was wrong for the longest time. And then when I started talking to like different breeders, everybody does things differently, but grab that knowledge and make it your own, dude. Like if it works and your geckos are healthy, I don't see anything wrong with that, you know? So, I mean, it'll save you time too. Save you time. I know it took me like,
Or talk
4
to
years.
breeders in your area.
yeah.
Yeah,
area.
meet
Your
up, hang
market.
out.
People that
How
go
do
to
they-
the shows you go to. People like,
Yeah, how are they
That's
doing
good.
stuff? How are they, how are they taking care of their geckos versus yours? Maybe
how are
I
they
mean,
selling their geckos?
yeah.
All those different
Yeah,
things.
that's right.
So yeah, take the time, learn about these geckos. Don't just go in head first and start breeding just to breed, just to be big. Take the time to actually learn about these geckos, man. These are living animals that we're dealing with. It's not just a cup, a designed cup or designed shoelace or whatever, like an item. These are animals, that we're dealing with. So
Totally.
at the end of the day, as long as they're healthy and they're fine, you're doing something right. So
Yeah, that's good. So, Chad, where can we find you? Where can people get your animals and have a chat animal?
How can we have our own chanimals ourselves?
Chanimals. You could find my chanimals on KaimanaGeckos.com. I've got a breeder pair showing on there as well.
Let me see.
I've got Kaimana_Geckos at IG or at Instagram. And I have Morph Market. And I'm not. Yeah, the URL is too long for me to kind of remember.
We'll link it. We'll link it in the description.
Kaimana Geckos _hash 47Z
H1 F7 91
There you go.
3. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, Kaimana Geckos. That is me.
Yeah, you just started this last week.
Yeah. Yeah, last week. So, yeah, throw a review if, you know, I
Nice.
want some reviews at some point, you know? So,
Yeah.
whoever purchases from there, throw a review. That would be
Nice,
great.
man. Pick up Chadwick animals.
Yeah.
Chanimals are available for you today.
Yeah,
Chatimals.
for sure. And then you could personally DM me on Facebook, Chad Corpuz, as well, if you have any questions, for sure.
Do you
I
use
am down
Facebook
to
more
chat.
or IG?
IG a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, Kaimana _Geckos.
Nice, man.
And
Yeah,
if you live near Chad, hit him up.
Holla at your boy.
The 2 people that live in Clarksville, go meet Chad.
Yeah, if you live anywhere near Clarksville,
Tennessee. That is me,
yeah,
the gecko dealer. Just
Well,
don't
thanks,
say it
Chad.
just don't say it out loud, because my the
Your
office
landlord?
doesn't know I have
Ooh.
and
Don't tell
crickets in here. Yeah. Shh.
They're gonna watch this
So-
podcast. They're gonna stumble along this podcast.
Your landlord's
and
gonna
go,
see
"Hey."
it. I knew
Yeah.
it.
So when I got this apartment, they're like, "Yeah, we do like pets. I mean, insect sprays and stuff like that." I'm like, "Oh no, thanks. Like, I'll deal with that myself. I don't want no inspections.
I'll take the roaches. Don't
random
worry.
inspections in my house."
That's
So,
funny, man.
Yeah.
Chatty, well, we were thankful for you, man. We
Thank you
love having
guys.
you. Love having
Thank
you on here. Long time coming. And we'll have you back for sure. I know you're always working at night, so we can't have you on the live.
I know. That's why it's so hard.
That's why we have to do the morning, because
the morning. Well,
you got
yeah.
a job, man. What the heck?
Yeah, I know. Just do it on the weekends, guys. You know.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Weekend is like baby time.
Yeah, weekend live would be ideal
would be
for
cool.
me. Would be
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
we'll think about that stuff. Yeah,
For
we'll see.
sure.
But yeah, man, Chad,
Yeah.
we're thankful for you.
you
Everybody
both.
follow Kaimana Geckos, and give him a like, send him a DM, say hi to him, give him some encouragement, and he'll
Yep.
encourage you right back. And
For
so
sure.
And follow us.
follow us,
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yes, subscribe, YouTube, like,
Pod.
Gecko
like
Pod.
this, like this one. Oh,
And
put
then
a comment down.
come see Harry and I at Anaheim.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Reptile Super Show.
Oh yeah, I need to send you those ice packs too. Yeah. I keep
July-
forgetting.
But yes,
That's-
July 7th, Anaheim. Brian Butler will be there.
We'll have
Flawless.
shirts, right?
A bunch of people.
Harry
Oh,
will have podcast shirts.
We'll have shirts. I'm about
Yep.
to place in an order. I still owe people shirts, so I'm sorry if you messaged me before. I'll send you some shirts soon. I'm just waiting for like a bit bigger orders.
Yeah.
Before I place it.
So
But
we'll be out in
shirts at the show.
California.
Yeah.
Me and Harry and Brett from Morph Menagerie and Kevin from Fireside Geckos will have a big booth together. Tons of
Yeah.
animals. We're bringing the heat, so make sure you come out and
good.
support everybody. I know a bunch of other
yeah.
breeders will be there as well, including AE Geckos, Flawless, a bunch of other folks. So
Red Rock. Yeah, all these people. Awesome. And then
Yeah.
Chad will see you
soon.
Tinley. Yeah, I'll be there,
Tinley.
Tinley.
Okay.
I'll be driving up for sure.
Okay.
See everybody. Say
Cool, man.
hi.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So yeah, appreciate you, brother. And
Yeah, thanks,
we'll
guys.
see you-
Thank you
see
guys
then-
very much.
See you again soon.
See you in the next one.
Yeah. Yep. See ya.
Later,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Bye.